We are at the Bay Arts Alliance in Panama City at the corner of Harrison and 4th Street. Here we go. All right. And my name is Carlton Cartwright. I'm the Executive Director with the Children's Coalition Incorporated. I have my sound technician, Skip Eckhart's, working with me, and we are here today interviewing. Sir, what is your name?
Paul White.
Paul White. Okay, Mr. White. And what is your birthday?
7/13/45.
Okay, and what is your current address?
1020 Venetian Way, Panama City, Florida 32405.
Okay. And what branch of the service were you in?
Marine Corps.
Okay. How many years?
4.
All right. And what years did you serve?
1966, March 1966, March 1970.
Okay. Where were you when you enlisted?
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted.
Okay. All right. Little Rock. Okay.
For 4.
Huh?
I was going to be drafted, but I enlisted for 4. Instead of being drafted for 2, that's a real interesting move. But
okay. All right. What were you doing prior to going into the service?
flunking out of college, drinking too much.
Here's an honest man. Okay, so what inspired you to go into that branch of the service?
A couple of things. First of all, I liked land better than I did sea or air. I figured I had a better chance of maneuvering
surviving?
Yeah, than swimming or flying.
Okay. All right.
But I didn't have any relatives. I had relatives in the Army. I mean, in World War II, but I didn't know. I never knew a Marine in my life, so I didn't think they cut your hair off. But they did, just like you.
Okay. All right. Got that look. Okay. Now, do you recall your first days in boot camp?
Oh hell yes.
Tell us about it.
I'm writing a book, and I've got all boot camp as a whole chapter in that mess. It's like I said, I didn't think they cut your hair, but at 3 o'clock in the morning when you get there, and they planned it that way, the first thing they said to you was, "Spit your damn gum out." Then I knew I'd made a mistake right there. And then they put you on yellow footprints to get your hair cut, and they said, "Tell anybody if you got a mole." I said, "They're not really going to cut your hair. They're just phasing us. They're just joking." And that's not joking. People would come out with no hair and blood running down the side of their face.
They had a mole.
So, and they let you sleep in 2 hours and then got you up and started right away. And they kept doing that for the first week. And they wouldn't let you eat. Just kind of nutty. I was the first one to hit. I was the only one he hit. And he hit me twice. DI did, but he hadn't had leave in like 6 years. They explained it away like that. But when he looked at me and he said, "What are you smiling at?" Because I wasn't really into it yet, you know. And I said, "I'm looking for my gun." Bap! He said, "It's called a weapon, puke." And so the next time he hit me, I was going to make points while we were marching because the guy in front of me couldn't march. So I yelled at him, and without even looking, the DI pow, just hit me right in the nose and blood running down my face. And when I had a chance, I got blood and showed it in my buddy and back. And he went, you know, but that was just, I guess, part of it. You know, they say they're not supposed to touch you. They do.
Right.
And they meant well. I mean, I really believe that. They saved my life in a crazy sort of way. Mm-hmm. Because when they told me to do something, I did it. Mm-hmm. And there was a reason for it. Even if you didn't know the reason, you did it. Mm-hmm. So I believe in a crazy way that I got better training in there than most people would have any other services.
Okay. All right. Where did you take basic training?
In March of '66.
Where?
Oh, where? San Diego.
Oh, okay.
They say that Paris Island is worse. There is nothing worse than boot camp. I mean, I don't care if they had it in New York City. It's just
No matter where.
That's it. So San Diego,
How long were you there for basic?
12 weeks.
Okay. And where'd you go to tech school? What?
Oh, then we went to ITR, which is the intensive training where you really learn to use your weapons.
Okay.
And there was an interesting deal. They had a fire they started accidentally with a container, a smoke grenade. And then they had us fighting it. And they told us to go up a mountain. Well, I went up the mountain, and the fire was closing around the bottom, and they told me to come down. So I came down, but 3 guys got killed in the valley on the other side, and they told us not to talk to the press at all. Oh yeah, I went to ITR for I think 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, and that's where the 3 guys got killed in the fire. They had us fighting a brush fire like they have in California, and it jumped over a valley and just incinerated them. And anyway,
they jumped over.
Huh?
What jumped over? The
fire did. See, the fire will connect if you're in from what I heard my buddy say, and they were in there fighting some of the fire, but then it just consumed them. It just jumped over. But they told us not to say anything about that, and I didn't. And then, of course, my next duty station was Millington.
Where was that at? Where's Millington?
Well, right near Memphis, right, like 30 miles above Memphis. It was a Navy. I was an operations person for the air wing. And where you plan flights and stuff like that. And of course I didn't spend much time doing that because they had you doing other stuff. Like when I went to Vietnam, they had me doing it in fixed wing. Well, I got tired of being rocketed and it blew my hooch over. So I found out that some guy was getting canned over in the Huey section across the flight line, so I told him I wanted to come over there, so I flew Hueys for 6 months. Okay. And I got to shoot back. I don't like not shooting back. Okay. All right. So you went to Vietnam? Yeah. Okay. You went directly to Vietnam after your weapons training? No, after my operations training in Millington, went to weapons training, operations training, and then went to then I went to Vietnam. Okay. And I was there 13 months. Go on, tell me about it. As it was started, they rocketed a lot of places in Da Nang, and I mean they satchel charged two jet fuel container. Those great big, I don't know what you call those things. The great big round cylinder looking things. 55-gallon drum? No.
Like a bladder, a giant.
No. Like the big ones, the oil company ones, the 6 million gallon things, the great big ones.
Like down the street.
And they blew up 2 of them, and that was interesting. But they blew my hooch over, and then I went to the helicopters, and I really liked it there. I had to extend for 6 months to get that though. And I flew 83 missions. My commanding gunny was a jerk. I mean, he was just really, I don't know, unprofessional. He was everything that I didn't like. So during my mission, my deal, it was really hard to work with him and fly too. And then they called me in to extend. And I told my first sergeant, I said, you get rid of him and I'll extend. And I can't do that. I said, well, I can't extend. So my buddy who worked with him was going to extend. And I said, what are you doing? I needed to buy a car. Well, he extended, but he got killed. Okay. The day I left, I was sitting on my sea bag, and there was a there was a crew chief with me. The crew chiefs have to be with their birds. If it goes up, they go up. And I like the hot missions. I like the sparrowhawks. I like to shoot them, you know, a lot of the action. I didn't like flying around looking. So I was supposed to be on a recon flight that day. We were sitting on our bags. I didn't extend. I was going home. He was going home. People started running around. I said, "What's going on?" And we can't tell you. We can't tell you. Finally, I grabbed my buddy and I said, "Okay, what in the hell's going on?" He said, "The 2 recon missions flew into a mountain and killed all 8 people." I was supposed to be on that flight. He was supposed to be on that flight. And he didn't know. He could. I got help by helping him because he was really a wreck. So we got out of there and then came home. That was a really rotten war. Everything about it run. The guys that ran into that mountain, they would shoot. They shot a woman off of a bicycle, landed the Huey, and picked up the bicycle, and brought it back. Those guys, they kind of had their reckoning right there. I mean, they kill people when they didn't have to kill people. I did it when I had to, you know, and it's, we were on one mission where 3 helicopters were shot down. We put in a recon team. 3 helicopters shot down. We had to call in the fixed wing. We called in a medic because there were so many, some dead and some hurt. Dropped the medic off. The Huey, the 34 did. They lost him. They didn't see him on the ground. The recon couldn't find him. We couldn't find him. 2 weeks later, I'm walking down by my barracks and this guy says, "Hey, aren't you in Huey's?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You saved my life." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know you." He said, "I'm the medic they dropped off." And they dropped me off in the middle of the Viet Cong. So, and I'm laughing about this, but he wasn't. But anyway, so he shot. We were rocketing the area around the recon team and blew the VC away, blew him down the mountain, and he made it to a friendly village and got back to base. He has a story. Yeah, that was a trip. But they finally got a company of men in there to get the recon team out. They just got into more than they could handle, and that happens often. But that war should have never been, and should have never stayed. I mean, 50,000 dead, and God knows. I wrote a poem about it. You want to hear it?
Go ahead.
Left, right, do my will. Left, right, kill, kill, kill. Uniform, all the same. 2232 is my name. Attack, never retreat. Oh my God, they got Pete. But back home, safe and warm. Back home, but where's my arm? That's what I think about Vietnam.
I hear you. That's intense. So it goes without saying that you've had the experience of witnessing a lot of casualties as a result of combat.
Yeah.
So how long were you in the service altogether on active duty?
4 years.
Okay, so you spent 2 years in Vietnam?
No, 13 months.
13 months. So where did you go after that?
By then I had PTSD and didn't even know what it was, and I went back to Cherry Point, North Carolina, and did not adjust. I did not make it there. And the first sergeant brought me in and said, "You got to go somewhere else because the gunny's going to bust you." And I said, "I don't want to go anywhere else." He said, "Then you're going to get busted." I said, "Well, what do you have?" And he had Philippines, he had Cuba and somewhere else, and I looked up the info on the thing, and the Philippines sounded like it was a beautiful place, and it was. You know, 6,000 island or something. So I went to the Philippines, and there's nothing there with aircraft, and so I had to either take a job on the gate, at the arsenal, or in the brig. And they said the brig had better quality people for whatever reason. I mean, they did, and they did.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that was a preferred job. So I was a brig guard for 18 months. And Philippines, you can get just as dead there as you did in Vietnam.
Okay.
Me. In the book I'm writing, I've got different ways I almost got killed. On the Marine Corps birthday, I met in this book, they had a Marine Corps ball. It was a brawl. It wasn't a ball. They had the E Club. They brought the commanding officer in, and I was just laughing at them all because my buddies weren't there. They didn't even want to go, but I went just to go. And somebody bumped somebody's drink, so he got up, hit him. That guy, he hit him into another table, and they ushered the commanding officer out. And I was standing by the gate, by the door, grabbing their drinks and drinking them as they were putting them in the paddy wagon. After that was the only time I wore my uniform out in town. And Alongapo is notorious for being, 5,000 prostitutes, so 250 bars, just crazy, dangerous stuff. And I got real drunk, and I went out in my uniform and walked up some stairs, and I saw a group of people, and I said, "You're not mine, I'm looking for the Marine Corps birthday party." He said, "Well, it's not us." So I started down the stairs, and then they started saying, "Dumbass, jarhead, you don't know." So I started back up the stairs, taking off my tie, and the leader of the bunch said, "Oh, just a minute, we really didn't mean it. You're just going about your way, hope you find your party." I found out later that was like 30 SEALs, and I was going to take them on.
No, you weren't.
Well, I was going to try.
Yeah, you were thinking about it. Okay.
Yeah. So that's one thing where my life was saved by an accident.
Right.
But I was there, but real quick, just something real interesting.
What?
Before I went in Marine Corps, you asked me what I was doing, and I got kicked out of school.
Uh-huh.
My buddy and I got kicked out of school together.
Mm-hmm.
We were sitting in the office getting ready to get kicked out, and I said, "Look at this, Vietnam." I said, "Man, if we ever," he said, "I'm not going to the military." I said, "Me either, but who knows?" I said, "But if we get killed, let's come back and haunt this idiot that's kicking us out." I was over there 6 months when I found out he was there. They had drafted him.
Your buddy or the?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And he was in 105s, which I thought was a safe deal. So I went to find him, and at this R&R place in the country, and with 490,000 military people there, it was the wrong Paul Harrison guy. I'm walking out to the gate. This guy said, "Hey, where's the check-in station?" I said, "It's over there." I said, "But if you're looking for a Paul Harrison, if the one I found was the wrong one." He went, "I'm looking for Paul Harrison." I said, "Well, he's the wrong one." He said, "Which one do you want?" I said, "This guy's crazy as hell and just very intelligent." He said, "We've got him too." So I rode out to visit him, and we went by a village that had 7 heads cut off, and only 3 of the heads were missing ears.
Oh.
And I said, "What happened to them? Why didn't they get the rest of them?" He said, "Oh, hell, they don't need them, I guess." So
They ate them already.
yeah. So I visited him, and I said, "Paul, I'm gonna send you some wild turkey when I get back," because we drank a lot. I am an alcoholic in recovery, and not back then though. But there wasn't a lot to drink there either for Marines. Anyway, I get back, send him the booze. They were shipping me to the Philippines. I was at home on leave, and I get a phone call to my father's house, and I said, "Oh," he said, "Is this Mr. White?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I want to let you know that your son his friend, Paul Harrison, got killed in Vietnam. So, that sucked. And I did meet the guy, the dean that accidentally, myself and this one-armed friend of ours were at a Pizza Hut, and the lady comes up and says, "You just set the record. We're not trying to set any record. You drank more beer than anybody ever has in this place." And in walks the dean. I'm probably not in jail now because my one-armed buddy weighed 275 pounds, grabbed me by the arm and said, "Look, I don't care what you do to him I'm not here, but I'm not going to jail." But I would have probably gotten really bad there with that. And that, he didn't do it. Well, he's still a jerk, but and my buddy's still dead, so nothing's going to change with me doing anything, getting myself in trouble. But the Philippines was a very interesting place. It was a dangerous place. And
is that where you separated from?
yes, and I hitchhiked around the world.
Afterwards?
Yes. And that's why I stayed in right up to the last day. They were going to give me a 3-month early out, but they wouldn't give me a 3-month early out and let me hitchhike around the world. So I had to stay in the whole time, but it didn't matter. I got my trip.
Where'd you go?
Funny, the first stop was Vietnam, 1970, still shooting over there, but my brother was in the Air Force in Vung Tau, which was a R&R center, so he was pretty good. He had electricity, he had a refrigerator full of beer, so he was making Vietnam, MASH or something. He was doing it right. But I hit 20 countries. It took me 8 months, and I did it on $450.
Yeah.
But I ate a lot of bread and cheese and slept on the ground a lot. And I'm glad I did that. Because all I wanted to do after the Marine Corps was grow hair and not take orders, and I didn't care what country I was in, as long as it wasn't Vietnam. So, or the Philippines, matter of fact. So the military wasn't my cup of tea. For somebody who doesn't like to take orders, going to the Marine Corps is crazy, but it's what happened in my life.
Right.
The military is an interesting situation. It's a necessary evil. It's a necessary, not evil. But it's not something that I would want to do. I don't know any other. I might have wanted the Air Force. I might have wanted a job. I might have stayed in. But the Marine Corps, no way. It's like boot camp for 4 years. I mean, you're running these PT things and doing all kinds of stuff and taking orders from idiots. And that brig was a 50-man brig with 100 people in it. And then they sent us 10 people that burned the brig in Vietnam. And it took a company of people to get them out of this brig they burned. And they sent us in this double capacity to hold them. They were murderers and rapists, and they were really bad dudes. And we had riots ongoing. It was just really a nut job. But it's just stuff that happened in the military.
Did you stay in touch with your family while you were in the service?
Yes.
Okay.
My mother sent me a cake for my birthday in Vietnam, and I got it 4 months late, and it was green. But yeah, I stayed. I didn't stay in touch with them when I was hitchhiking around the world, though.
No.
Because I couldn't.
Did you use your GI Bill when you got out of the service?
Huh?
Your GI Bill, have you used it at all?
My what?
Your GI Bill.
Oh, yes. But I told you I drank a lot. And I'm illegally an alcoholic. But I'm 42 years clean and sober.
Okay.
But I used the GI, I used it to go to college. And I made the dean's list in a little local college in South Arkansas. So I was going to go to the big college in Fayetteville where the Razorbacks are. And I got in my hippie van, headed that way, and saw a guy jogging down the street in Little Rock. I said, "Hey, that's Phil." So I turned around, "Hey, Phil, hey, Paul." So we go to his house, have a party. smoked some weed. I met a girl and never left Little Rock.
Never left what?
Never left Little Rock. I never made it available. But I went to school there and used my GI Bill. And but there's too many bars in Little Rock. The little town I was in down south was dry. But I just drank my way out of that school. So but I got a job being a railroad engineer.
Doing what?
Railroad engineer.
Oh, okay.
You want to hear how I did that?
I'm waiting.
I was starving. I didn't have my GI Bill because I quit school. So I heard Rock Island Railroad was hiring, so I went down there and filled out an application. And you can tell I needed to write this book.
I see.
And,
yes.
I filled it out, went back on food stamps. I wasn't going to get the job because I wasn't related. So I went back down there and nobody was there. So I went behind the secretary's desk and I put on her paper the pen that said, "Hire Paul White, he needs a job." So I left. It was lunchtime. Came back after lunch. She said, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm checking my job application." She said, "What's your name?" I said, "Paul White." She said, "Have a seat." She picked it up off her desk. It was, "Mr. Thompson will see you." I go in there and he says, "What kind of job would you like to have, Mr. White?" I said, but at that time I figured out they didn't know who in the hell wrote that note and they better give me a job. So that's how you get to be a road engineer.
Okay.
That's great.
How long did you do that?
I did that for 8 years until Rock Island Railroad. They were one of the largest industries to go bankrupt and close. So, and by that time I'd gotten sober though, and I actually liked running the train. There's stories about drinking and drugging in trains I get too, but this is not about that. But I did that for as long as they stayed open, which was 8.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got into alcohol and drug counseling, and I worked for the VA for 20 years
Oh, okay.
as an alcohol and drug counselor. And that's why I moved down here. But I got prostate cancer. But in the process of this, my wife's brain blew up. And she's paralyzed on the right side. She can't talk back or right since 2002. So I take care of her now, and then I'm retired. And I hunt alligators. And my first one was 620 pounds, and it was 13 feet long. And I got pictures. But Florida's where I need to be. And I didn't dislike the VA. The VA was good, has been good to me. And if the VA's problems are that the people that are seeking to be promoted aren't doing their job. That's the whole problem with VA. They hire, but they hire good people, and as far as the lower echelon, like the counselors and nurses and stuff, they're really they do the job. But the screwed up VA part is the upper echelon that are trying to get their careers built, and therefore they let some of the veterans down in doing this. And some things just get looked over.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a good career there, and I'm glad I'm here. I like Panama City.
Okay, so you've done a lot of traveling. We got that. While you were in the service, how was the food?
Philippines was good. It just certain here and there and under, in boot camp, you'd sit down and they'd say, "You're too soft, get up." They did that for about 2 days. So they wouldn't let you eat. So when they got all sitting down at the same time, you just went, and then they let us sit there for 30 minutes. The food was going in 30 seconds. But it was okay.
So I'm not going to ask you about the diary because I know you're writing a book now, which is a great thing. Okay, so look, in your estimation, just last little couple of questions. How did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general? And how did your service and experience affect your life?
I thought I was pretty put much together before I went in the Marine Corps, but when I came out, I was more together. I mean, I believed in myself more, and I'm not a military person though. I mean, I'm really not, and don't want to be. War sucks. I mean, there is no good wars. I don't give a shit. I mean, World War II was a needed war. I mean, and that's the one I could have handled, but more than I could, this Vietnam stuff. But it helped me with my self-esteem. And of course the alcoholism kind of beat the hell out of me. But in February 22nd, 1977, I came to the end of my rope there. And nothing was doing any good, no military training, nothing. But I got sober, and I've been clean and sober ever since. And that's due to a 12-step group that I really appreciate, and I'm active with right now. And I do volunteer work. And the veterans, we do Ruben and I try to get something going here. It's hard to be a Democrat in this area. Because the military, see, I never thought politically of military. My buddy I gator hunt with, he divorced me because his Fox News influence. I'm not kidding you. And I was never political till I came down here. And every time I'd go into a doctor's office or something, they had Fox News. I said, "What is that? That's not real." And so it's politically the military is missing the boat. I mean, I think the people that are going to give them peace time is the Democrats or independents or something. And I never was active till I came down here, and now I'll do whatever I need to do to get done what needs to be done. And if you're watching the news, you know what needs to be done. That's how it affected my life. The military did, and I think it served a purpose. And I mean, I really don't take anything off anybody. Which could have gotten me in trouble, and it's gotten my nose broken a couple of times. But I don't start anything. I'm not a start trouble person, but I'm the kind that don't take it either. And the military training helped with that, how to defend myself.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to add? Otherwise, I'm going to thank you for your service.
Nope. I'm just glad my son didn't have to go. Let me put it that way. He's 26 now. He's an electrical engineer. I have 2 grandkids here in town, and I like it that way.
Well, thank you for the interview, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.